Hi there, Victor Pross speaking to you, anarchist artist. Okay, just to revisit the whole issue of the Ron Paul revolution, the whole idea of Ron Paul sitting in the puppet seat, and just cover some pros and cons, and just toss out some thoughts there, some points, and then you can switch that around and think it over and come to your own conclusion. There's a lot of anarchists who are steadfast to their position that the state is evil, the state must be abolished, the state has to fade away, it has to go away, if not in some kind of like historical deterministic way, that it's inevitable that it will, but just maintaining their moral stand that they want nothing to do with this violent institution, and I pretty much sympathize with that position. But there is a video that Stefan Molyneux did make. I forget the name of it now, but it caused quite a roar in regards to the taking a more pragmatic approach in consideration of Ron Paul being in the president's seat, the puppet seat rather, and the pros and cons of all that, and there's anarchists who are leaning and favoring the idea of Ron Paul making the win, and then there's the other side too. So it's been kind of a give and take and of pro and cons, and I wrote on my Facebook wall something to the just diving into this whole subject, and I wrote this. I'll just read it verbatim and touch upon some feedback in regards to that. Okay, I wrote, regarding Ron Paul and voting, I think that Ron Paul supporters should know what they are fighting for. The only thing that Ron Paul could do, if elected to presidency, is to withdraw the troops that the U.S. government has stationed around the world. He would not need congressional approval for that. If he attempted to end the Federal Reserve, however, he would be blocked and stymied at every step, and even assassinated if push came to shove. And the Senate and Congress and thousands of other people who are deeply invested in this blood-drenched fraud won't stand for it. I don't even think that even informed people are fully informed, and they tend to think of the presidency that it means commander-in-chief. You see, this is the thing. Is that you got to remember that the actual ruling elite, the upper echelons. Okay, it's like a ecosystem of widely diverse, self-interested people. And you have to remember that the presidency of the United States really is just a title. It's a figurehead for this mafia. It's window dressing. Okay, it's not like it's not this. There's a lot of people who tend to think that the president means, that it does mean commander-in-chief in the sense of like, okay, I'm president now, and see, I've been elected. The people elected me. That's my title. I'm the president. You have to do as I say, because I'm the president. It doesn't quite work that way, even though we have Barack Obama bypassing the Constitution in Congress and the Senate and doing what the fuck he wants. But that's not without repercussions, and it is not playing by the game rules, and there's a cap and there's a limit on just what can be done. So it's not like that Ron Paul would not continue to face very robust, let us say, opposition if he tried to dismantle the state, and to the extent of which minarchists would want, or let alone anarchists. So we have to keep that in mind, that a lot of people, just get him in there and he'll do all those things. He'll end the Fed, he'll bring the troops home, Department of Education, or people, okay. The power is limited, okay. So so I posted that basic snip of a thought on my Facebook wall, and and somebody responded, plus the state is going to fall soon if he's elected, and what would happen then once the state does fall? The dollar does collapse. It's going to collapse. It's an inevitability. It's just a matter of time. It's not if it's going to collapse. It will collapse. Okay? It's not like I like vanilla and you like chocolate, so we can just go. We all have our preferences and we have our differences of view. No, it's mathematics. It's going to collapse. And if he's at the helm, it's the ideas of freedom and liberty, anarchism, libertarianism, call it what you like, freedom, the free market, is going to take the blame. It will take the blame. And that's one side to consider. That's a point that has a valid point to it. It's one thing to consider. But then we do have the ethical conundrum that if he did make the presidency, and he brought all the troops around the world home, and the net result being that he would save thousands of lives, that is something also to seriously consider. But what is the real? But one of the main concerns here is the legitimizing of the state. Basically, as one person on Facebook indicated here. He taking the more negative side here is that Ron Paul won't get anything done. The powers that be won't let him. They do what they did to Kennedy. Kennedy got a bullet in the brain, okay, because he thought he was the commander-in-chief. Okay, it's like, no, we're running the show here, Mr. Window dressing puppet. Even if he got past that, it's still bad, because all he would do is minimize the state, and the anarchist movement would fall asleep because it would have nothing to fight against. We need to abolish the state, not minimize it. The more we minimize it and try to reform it, the longer it will exist, and the longer people will make excuses for statism. In a way, a tyrannical leader and an oppressive government can be a good thing to help lead us to abolishing the state. It shows people the true nature of statism, as long as the people are awake and ready to think ahead of the game. Okay, yeah. Just to tackle on that point, I mean, the whole idea of legitimizing the state, I agree with that. That is the danger right there. That people go, see, government can work, you know. But this whole thing of that maybe it's a good thing that we have these tyrannical powers so people can see what's going on. Well, you've had that for the last 200 years, for God's sakes. You've had that with the creation of the Fed, with World War I, World War II, Vietnam, public schooling, public indoctrination, the Patriot Act, and now this recent bill. People haven't woken up yet. I mean, like with all of these predations and this ever escalating erosion of freedom that began almost from day one, from once the American experiment had been set up, almost from day one. Okay, not even like 50 years into it, the erosion started happening perceptually, ostensibly. Okay, not like, oh, it's creeping up on us. It's like it's just. It did happen at incremental steps, though, but they were blatant enough for people to realize, what the fuck is this? What is going on? I thought this was the land of the free, you know. So we've been bitch slapped. It's even becoming more blatant. It's out in the open, but yet there's a lot of people who are completely asleep at the wheel. And you know, this 99%. What 99%? You know, like the Wall Street protests, the global protests. 99%. Oh, the people are waking up. The people are waking up. No, the people are not fucking waking up. It's probably maybe about 10% of people who are waking up, and not even of that 10%. It's probably not even 1% of people who are out there creating alternative media outlets. You know, who are outspoken. Whether that be Christopher Green, Michael Shanklin, Stefan Molyneux, etc., 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 etc. It probably doesn't even make 1%. Okay, so maybe you do have like 10% people who know what's going on. I mean, they're not stupid. They can see the tyranny here. But I'm telling you, though, that the large percentage of people, they have no fucking clue what's going on. They're completely ignorant the predations of what's going on. I mean, they're aware to it to the extent of, like, yeah, they know about the Patriot Act, but they're making moral excuses for it, though. You know, oh, it's our government. They're trying to protect us from those terrorists because they want to blow us up. You know, they hate us for our freedoms. That's the average mindset. You know, okay, that's the nature of the conflict. Is they actually believe that government is necessary, that it's their protector. And everything that's going on in the world is like there's a terrorist around every corner, and the American government here is to protect us. That is the average mindset. Their only bitches is with a certain political party. Maybe they swing back on the false paradigm swinging pendulum of left, right. Oh, okay, you know, their criticism of government only comes down to a specific party line or to a certain elected president or political figures. You know, oh, look what Obama has to deal with. You know, inherited all this mess from George Bush. You know, like that's the fucking mindset here. That's not a fundamental ethical principle and philosophical insight into the nature of statism. You know, to criticize one puppet, you know, and we got to get some other puppet in there. So, but I do grant, you know, I do grant that certainly that Ron Paul is definitely a one in any 1,000-year kind of guy. He is a loose cannon, a rogue in a certain sense, you know, that, and I have a great deal of respect for him. In this case, it's, you know, a friend of mine, Kelly Diamond, had to laugh at how conflicted I am because I do have a grudging respect for him, even though he has these political aspirations, though. But he is an anomaly. He definitely is a fly in the ointment of statism, right? And but anyway, just to I just wanted to toss these nuggets out and to give you some food for thought on in regards to the pros and cons. That I do consider it an ethical conundrum, and that's all I have to say on that. It's Victor Pross, anarchist artist, signing out. Pop Culture.